Fuck the Oscars, you know? Fuck the Oscars! Fuck you!
The movies, the internet stuff is so violent. It's so incredible.
I see you're worried about it just because the consumption of these violent video games has been going up continuously since the early 90s, and yet youth violence...
When you look at juvenile crime statistics, which have gone down dramatically over the past 15 years, it really doesn't seem to bear what the American pediatrics...
You can pick up guns, knives, you can now choose to punch, kick, headbutt people, stab them.
And welcome, one and all. What is going on? What's up, everybody? Welcome to today's episode of Tuned In Live. This is your co-host, Mike C. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys got the updates on our Twitter. I haven't put the update on our new Facebook page. Actually, I just updated our Facebook page earlier. So if you are trying to find the page, if you're clicking on older links, actually all the links have been changed for the update. So we are now facebook.com/arrow encoded, since our team member was newly added. Our new team member, Cypher Xavier, was newly added a couple months ago. He is also the founder of his group, Team Encoder, which is hosted by him and his wife, Tenchi. So I figured I would go ahead and make some changes to the Facebook page. Gave it a new update look, icon, header, everything. So now that over there, Arrow Entertainment is now fused with Team Encoder. Pretty much two groups in one. Also, since Cypher is part of the group, you know, it's only fair that, you know, everything be updated to that, and especially when we're, you know, helping one another actually promote each other and promote each other's content and such. We've been doing content for about 3 or 4 years, so it's good to do that. Also, tomorrow I will be live from Cypher's house. We're going to do a special Facebook stream from his house. We're going to take a look at this chair that he has possession of from a local mall in the Glen Burnie area, which is said to be either cursed or haunted, a spirit of a person who deceased, sleeping or sitting in this chair, became attached to it, and now Cypher has possession of this chair, and he has been experiencing quite a few disturbances with the chair in his life, in his apartment. So we're going to go live. We're going to actually do some video footage for you guys too. That way, those of you who don't follow us on our Facebook page, you can actually check out that footage on our YouTube channel as it is edited and when it goes up. So I should be joined by my co-host Dark. I told him we were going to go live today between 4 and 4:30. I think he's in the middle of updating his Discord. So Discord is open, so if you guys want to join in with our Discord and chat with us, feel free to do so. If you need the link to our Discord, just DM me on Twitter or Facebook, and I will give you the link to our Discord. You can come on in and chat it up with us. Today's topic, I'm going to throw a few things in there revolving around Nintendo and Microsoft and Sony as well. So this is some big news. A couple things, you know, they came out last week. They all came out last week, actually. And I'm just now getting around to talking about it and putting my 2 cents in. And hopefully my co-hosts will be in here to give their input on the whole Microsoft and Sony thing. So I do want to go ahead and touch base with Nintendo, the news from Nintendo. Let me see here. And this is coming from the other day. I don't remember which day it was. It was April. Oh, okay, it was April 15th, so it was yesterday or a couple days ago. This was news. Reggie Fils Aim. I can't pronounce his last name. Reggie, from Nintendo of America, and that he's an American businessman, and he has been the president and chief operating officer for Nintendo of America since 2006. He actually was employed with Nintendo of America back in 2003. He was working as a executive vice president in sales and marketing back then, and he was promoted to president of the company in 2006. he had recently retired. In 2016, as I'm reading, and early 17, he was featured in episodes of Deadlock. What's that? On the Game Theorist's web show. Okay, I'm just briefing through some of his Wikipedia, but it was announced that he retired from the company and COO on February 21st, and his retirement actually took effect April 15th, which was yesterday. He is being replaced by the company's then heads of sales, Doug Bowser. I find that hilarious, actually, that the guy replacing Reggie, his name is Doug Bowser. Just let it sink in there for a minute. Doug Bowser. And I'm not down in the name Doug, but the last name Bowser. Let's see. Reggie retires Nintendo. Maybe I can get a whole scoop on here. I haven't even really read the whole article. I just read glimpses of it. Yeah, Reggie retires and games industry says goodbye. The affable president of...
What if you're going to
Jesus.
the game?
I don't know why that played. I should have everything muted. I hate it when I pull up an article and something plays like that. Bowser is in charge of Nintendo. What's up, Savior? Cypher. Yeah, I know. Did someone say Fat Squatch? Like I said, if you guys at any point want to join in, feel free to do so. Discord is open, and I am speaking on that. I'm actually waiting for Dark. He's supposed to be in here, but I think he's still updating shit. But anyways, yeah, that is an ironic thing there, Cypher. Bowser is now in charge of Nintendo. It's pretty hilarious. So let's see. The affable president of Nintendo of America has announced that he will be retiring in April. This article was back in February when he announced it. The shadow of Reggie looms large, in part because he is just very physically large. He's a large dude. He's probably, yeah, Bowser's large. I know that. But mostly because he is well-known as a friendly figure and public face, not just for Nintendo, but for the video game industry as a whole. You got to get the buttering those biscuits, yeah. I thought that's what we're going to do today, butter some biscuits in here. We'll get together on PUBG soon for that. As a result, his retirement is bittersweet, and the industry is gathering to let him know that he will be missed. Several industry leaders have stepped forward to issue congratulations and thanks on Twitter, including his competitors like Phil Spencer from Microsoft. What's up with PS5 now the backwards compatible? Actually, I'm going to cover that today. That is one thing I'm going to cover is the leaked information and all for Sony. And I'm also going to cover stuff on Microsoft too with their new Xbox discless console as well. So yeah, be hyped, man. That's coming. That is going to be today. So yeah, I'm going to cover that as well because I just found out about that today too, earlier on Twitter. Going back on Nintendo, others have thanked him for his contributions, shared endearing anecdotes, or otherwise wished him well. As of April 15th, the role of Nintendo of America president will go to current sales vice president Doug Bowser, who definitely hasn't heard anyone else tell him, "You're very creative, Bowser," joke yet. Reggie has also released a heartwarming message on his own Twitter. He did that also. Larry Irv from Microsoft tweeted out, "I miss seeing you at all the industry events, Reggie. Thanks for all of you done over the years. Congrats on your new gig at the True Bowser." Then we got Team Matt from Super Meat Boy. Here's a picture of Reggie playing Super Meat Boy on the Wii. He said, "I'm buying this with my own Wii points. I'm serious, guys." Pretty sure he ended up with it on his Wii U and Switch. Happy retirement, my dude. And the list goes on and on. Even Jeff Keighley, or Kaylee, whatever his name is. He sounds familiar. He said, "Can't believe I'm writing this. Reggie is retiring from Nintendo. One of the industry's finest leaders and dear friend. He always believed in me." I remember watching him come out during those Nintendo events. See, Nintendo never really attended E3. E3 was all for like Microsoft, Sony, EA, Bethesda, Ubisoft, and all those other industries. But Nintendo had their own little event called the Nintendo Treehouse. They had a couple of them. And I remember watching a couple of those events and seeing Reggie come out and announce certain things coming out for these new consoles. He is a really nice guy. He's a really cool guy. I like watching him whenever he comes out. You know, just like when I watch E3, you know, Phil Spencer comes out, Larry Herb comes out, I'm like, oh, something big's gonna happen. It's orgasmic. Yeah, there's a lot of tweets that go on and on. Everybody's gonna miss old Reggie. Now, when it comes to Nintendo, personally, I'm more old school when it comes to Nintendo. I like the older consoles, you know, the Nintendo 64, the NES, SNES, even the GameCube. You know, I like the older consoles a little better too. And everything that Nintendo is doing with their marketing strategy, I mean, a lot of newer gamers, a lot of gamers, older school gamers and all, don't agree with some of the stuff that Nintendo has been doing and putting out there over the past few years, especially with the Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo Wii U. The Wii, just like the predecessors like the GameCube and the Super Nintendo and all, the Wii and all, had a very vast library of games, and it lasted a pretty long time too. I mean, it lasted a good while. And then the Wii U came out. I can't even believe that they named it the Wii U. They could have gave it a better name than that, but who knows? The Wii U could have been something so much better. Like, it was an interesting concept, especially with the controller being its own thing. It's like a tablet/controller where you can play games on TV, or you can take the games to the controller and play it as like a tablet, sort of. But that was for like most games. There was a lot of games for the Wii U that required you to have both a television screen and the controller in order to interact with a game, which was it was pretty challenging. But they did have a lot of pretty good titles for the Wii U. I haven't played games like, you know, the Mario series, Super Mario Maker, Splatoon was a really good game. I enjoyed that to hell. But my biggest problem with the Wii U was it didn't have a long life expectancy. You know, they didn't release a whole lot of games for the console to even let it breathe. You know, you had quite a few console exclusives like Splatoon, Super Mario Maker. I think Super Mario Odyssey Switch. I'm sorry, there was a couple new Mario games that were on there, and then of course Zelda had one on there. I know Breath of the Wild. I think Breath of the Wild was on there right around the time when it came out for the Switch also. So there was 2 ports of that, I believe. But usually, you know, it's the console exclusives. That's all it is, and the platformers. And that's what kind of sold the console. And I don't know why the console died out so quick the way it did. I mean, people are still buying the Wii U, but it's not as popular now as it was when it came out back in, what was it, 2012, 2013, somewhere around there. And there wasn't even nearly half as many games that came out on the Wii U that has came out on the Wii. The Wii, oh my god. If you're counting North America, Europe, and Japan, god, that's over 700 games. And there was a YouTube channel that I follow. It's called Metal Jesus Rocks, and he does a lot of game reviews and such. And this dude is awesome. I love this dude. He's into a lot of good music, games, and all. And he did a video with one of the collectors, one of the guys who collects for the Wii and Nintendo in general. And he has every single Wii game out there, even imports, and it's like over 700 titles. What's up, KOOPA? The Wii U died because it couldn't hold up with the PS4. That is true, and the third party support was nowhere near as good. That is true also. That's why, you know, with the Switch, you've got a lot of third party support from Bethesda, Ubisoft, EA Games, all of them. They now have third party support from a lot of good publishers. You're seeing a lot of good games come out on the Switch now. Actually, speaking of Metal Jesus Rocks, he had just picked up Darksiders for the Switch, and I'm like, wow, I wonder how that plays on there. Just like my brother, he has a Switch. He's got Breath of the Wild, He's got Super Smash Brothers. I don't think he got the new. I think he did get Mario. I'm not too sure. I know he got Doom, and he got Wolfenstein 2. And I could not believe how good those games played out on the console. Yeah, when the Switch came out and they said that they were going to put games like that on it, I'm like, okay, the Switch can barely hold its own against Sony and Microsoft alone. I'm like, how's this little console going to hold all this data? How's it going to interpret all this data meant for a console like the Xbox or even PC, high-end PC games? And it does it very well. It tones down the graphics, the gameplay, and all that. It tunes it down just a little bit, but it still looks really damn good. Like on a TV screen, yeah, you're going to see some pixelation. You know, it's going to look a little choppy a bit, kind of like, you know, going back to the Wii or maybe the GameCube, maybe whatever, just a little, you know, a little updated. But on the screen itself, if you're holding it like a handheld, it looks pretty damn good. And my thing with those kind of games, like let's take Doom for example. He has Doom. The game itself comes on the cartridge, and cartridges don't hold a whole lot of data. Nowadays, with Xbox and PlayStation, you got Blu-ray discs, and a Blu-ray disc can hold a hell of a lot of data on it. And even some games, I mean, I've seen very rarely a few games where it's like 2 discs. Like one disc is needed to install the game, and the other one is used to play. Actually, I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of those, for example. My other brother, Thomas, he has Red Dead 2 on Xbox. And I got a digital, of course. And I opened the case, I was like, yeah, 2 discs. One disc is used for installation, other disc is for the game. That's a pretty big fucking game. So, with Nintendo, you know, cartridges, even though they're cheap to make, and I got into a debate with somebody about this on Facebook. I'll go into this in a little bit. The cartridges, they don't hold a whole lot of data. Yeah, it was the same. That's right. GTA 5 was the same thing too. I remember that there was an installation disc, and then there was a gameplay disc too. I remember that games were getting too big, and now it's like, fuck it, you might as well just download the damn thing. That's a better way to go. Because you're buying double discs now, and it's almost like, okay, they're selling their product with 2 discs. Are they going to start charging you for the second disc? That's what I'm worried about right there. Physical copies, if they're going to start charging for the second disc. I'll probably cover that a little bit later on. But if we go back to Nintendo with the cartridges, like, let's take Doom for example. If it's got both single player and multiplayer on it. The single player, which is the co-op, you know, the story, you know, the arcade story and all that, you know, that's on the cartridge itself. If you want to play multiplayer on the Switch, you got to download it. That's like a 20 or 30 gig download to the memory card on the Switch. So you get the game, but you still got to download the multiplayer, which kind of sucks in a sense. And then, of course, you got to hope you have enough space on the console itself, because it takes memory cards. It's one of the consoles that still takes memory cards. The Wii did it. The Wii U did it. The Switch does it too. Now, with the cartridges, I got into a debate with somebody about this. And they kept saying, oh, Nintendo, the Switch sucks. It's a piece of shit. They shouldn't be putting games on the fucking cartridge. The whole game should be on the cartridge. And I was like, look, from what I've read, and this was when the Switch came out and people were debating because of the cartridges. And there was a lot of people who liked the fact that they went back to cartridges, but then there's the other group that's like, why are you going back to cartridges? Why are you reverting? Well, from what I heard and what I believed, it cut costs. It was cheaper to put a game on a cartridge than it was to put it on the disc, which I don't know how true that is. I mean, a standard disc alone is probably like worth 5 cents for a disc, and the data's all printed on the back of a label. Like if you look at a game or a movie, and you look at the top of the disc, where the name and the artwork and all that is, yeah, the beautiful artwork on the disc. Underneath that label, that's where all your data is. And the actual plastic CD itself protects that data from disc burns and other other dangerous things that could happen to it, you know, when it's in a player or when it's kicked around or when it's scratched or whatever. So all the data is on the back of that label. Even if you like were to peel a part of the label off, like scrape it off, it ain't gonna work. It's gonna give you a shit ton of errors. You're gonna be out of a $60 game that way. And with them going back to cartridges, it's all based on I'm trying to think of the word for it. It's all based on how you use the console itself, because the Switch is not just an at-home console to hook up to your TV and play the games on TV like that. It's also meant as a handheld device also. You can take it out of the dock, take it with you, play games on the go. And it's a very intelligent thing to say that, can you imagine taking a game console like that on the go that runs CDs, that actually plays the CDs, and you're sitting there, you're on a train, you know, and you're shaking all over, you're trying to play a game of Super Smash Brothers, and the game keeps buffering and lagging and all. That's if you got a disc in there. Have you ever tried running around with a CD player in your pocket and have the music skip or freeze? That's exactly what would happen if Nintendo decided to go with the disc-based console for the Switch. Like I said, it's a very intelligent comment and statement to make about the Switch. When somebody asks, why didn't they just stick with the disc? You know, they could have made the disc smaller and slide them in there. Well, that even happened with the PSP, I've noticed too. You mainly use Switch as a portable console more than a home console unless you want to play some games. That is true, yeah. And that's pretty good. You know, the Switch has a good library of games, especially on the go. You know, when you're going somewhere, like if you're going to work or whatever, and you're bored, if you have nothing to do, if they allow something like that, hey, a Switch is a good thing. I don't agree with the battery life, because I hear the battery life lasts like maybe 3 or 4 hours, something like that. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure they have a charging cable for it out there that you can plug it in and all, because that would kind of suck. You know, you're out there, you know, if you're going away from the house for like 5-6 hours and you need something to do, and the battery life on your Switch is 2 or 3 hours long, and you're fucked. Binding of Isaac. I believe I have that game on Xbox. I've been meaning to play that too. I have one of the Binding of Isaac games. I even downloaded Ori. I think it's Ori and the Forest, I think it's called. I remember seeing it 2 years ago at E3. I have that downloaded too. I've been meaning to play that. But yeah, if you're old school like me, and you remember walking around going to school with the old Walkmans, you know, the CD players, and if the whole, you know, Walkman was bumped, shook up, if you're doing a lot of motion, moving, whatever, the music would skip. The music was skip. It did the same thing with the PSP, I noticed too. Like, depending on how durable and stable your PSP console was, it did the same thing. You had one too? Yep. But yeah, that's what would happen if they went back with you know, using the discs for the Switch. If they stuck with that, because you'd be going on the go, the game would be fucking jumping all over the place, you know, and be like, fuck this game, I'll wait till I get. It's also might be because discs are more prone to easily be. Yep. Discs are easily damaged too. Cartridges, I mean, yeah, after like so many years, I mean, you know, the connectors, the pin connectors and all on the cartridge they get dirty. I mean, they do get dirty, so there's an easy way of cleaning cartridges. You use a Q-tip, maybe some kind of solvent cleaner, and clean it up. I mean, that's what I've been doing to Nintendo cartridges and N64 cartridges for so many years. If it's dirty, take a Q-tip, maybe spray a little solvent on it if it's not going to hurt it, and clean the cartridge out. If a disc gets scratched, you can only resurface the disc so many times until it looks just like an ugly mess. And maybe it's not going to be able to play, you know? And of course, discs do chip away and break as well. Whereas with cartridges, nowadays we have websites that offer the casings for cartridges. So let's say you got a cartridge that's falling apart. You can just get a replacement cartridge, take the old one apart, take the motherboard and all that out of that one, put it in the new one, boom, you're done, it's good. You had a PSP that died on you thanks to a warm Coke exploding on it? Holy shit. I can't remember why I got rid of mine, you know. You really disliked the UMDs on the PSP? Oh, yes, I know. Oh, my God, I know, Koopa. I had 2 or 3 of the UMDs where the plastic casing broke, and it just got stuck inside, you know? It's like, you know, where you look in the cover and it says UMD, and that little plastic window, like, if it broke off from the edge or broke off around the edge and got stuck in there, the game's done for. Oh my God, I hated that shit. Oh, something's going on with Discord. Actually, I'm gonna hang up Discord. Oh, never mind. Discord was taking a shit on me. I think God nobody's in here. I mean, yeah, you can hop on in. Definitely, it's open, man. Just hop on in. I'll unmute you, and you're good. Yeah, I remember I was friends with a coworker of mine, and he had a PSP as well, and he kept a lot of his games in the fucking case. Koopa, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, what's up?
Nothing much. I get what you're talking about with those UMDs. Like I said, I worked with someone who had a PSP, and he had one of those carrying cases that had 10 UMDs in it, and half of them were all broke.
Yeah, I even had the same kind of issue too. I had a couple of games that and actually are still fine. Like, the cases are still intact, but it's those rare games that I have that one of the bottom left corners snapped off and it's flopping around, and the plastic cover that's on the UMD is pushed in, and you can hear it spinning around through when the game is inside the PSP, and it's really annoying and makes me scared to even play it again.
I had the same thing. I was wanting to try that. I was like, okay, the plastic snack, can I still play it? But you can't, because the disc is flopping all around, and the disc drive can't even really read the data.
Funny thing is, mine actually still played the games when that one UMD case that I have was broken. It still read the game.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm just like, what the hell? What did I do? And how is it still working?
See, if I get one again, because I was thinking about buying one off of Amazon or something, I'd be like, okay, I'll get one just to jailbreak it, because people are jailbreaking those nowadays. It's easy to put the emulators on them.
Yeah, I heard about that too. They're pretty good emulators for on the go, which surprised me.
See, there was the one that I never got interested in because it was all digital. Was the what was it, the PSP Go? I think it was.
Yeah, I heard about that. The PSP Go was actually was inferior to the original models of the PSP because they got rid of the control pad that they had on there on the original PSPs, and it was only the I think it was only the D-pad that was on there. Which was incredibly dumb.
And I know that came out actually around a time when Gran Turismo hit PSP, and I was excited for that too. And I thought, at first, it was going to be a digital only thing because they were advertising Gran Turismo, and I love the series. I still got the original copies for PlayStation, and I thought it was going to be exclusive just to that thing. And so they were like, okay, this is all digital. You're going to have to buy the memory cards, and the memory cards were insanely expensive. If you wanted let's say, I forgot at the time, they went up to, I think, 32 gigs or 48 gigs for the memory cards.
Something like that.
And the games, they were big, but they weren't too big. Maybe one game was 2 or 3 gigabytes big, and it was just something I'm like, I even saw one in a game case recently. It was not recently. It was in the last 4 or 5 years. We had this store in the Glen Burnie Mall. It was called Power Gamer, and they sold a lot of good a lot of good nostalgic and retro stuff. Like they sold some newer stuff too. They kept up to date with like the Wii U, the Xbox One, and all, but they also sold like PS2 games. Yeah. And in the case, they had a PSP Go for like $40 or $50, and I was just sitting there looking at it. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I want to, but then I'm like, I'm not sure. You know? Hey, what's up, Wolf?
Yeah, that's always a big kind of one thing that it's skeptical nowadays, because most of the time, what are you gonna do with the PSP is except if it's just gonna sit there and be just a paperweight or something like that.
Yeah, that was my whole thing. Like, I like handheld gaming, but I would be interested in it for like a little while, and then I would lose interest in it because I'm mostly usually console gaming anyway, and I've also been doing a little bit of PC gaming here and there. But when it came to handhelds, I would play, a few simple games here or there, and then I would end up losing interest, and then here I am, like, trading in my console, like, 2 months later down the road. I'm like, I could never keep a hold of a handheld console for whatever reason. Like, I've had just about every version of a Game Boy that was there. Well, I haven't had a Game Boy Pocket. I had a neighbor who had one of those. But I remember getting the first Game Boy for, I think it was my 7th birthday. 7th or 8th, it was things like my 8th birthday, I'm sorry. And I got, what was the games? It was like Kid Icarus and Donkey Kong. And then, of course, when the Game Boy Color came out, I remember getting one of the Pokemons. I think it was Pokemon Crystal for it. I know, like, Pokemon Silver and Gold, you can play those with either the original Game Boy or the Game Boy Color. That kind of blew me away, especially, with all the colors, the vivid colors on there, and still you needed, like, some kind of light to play with it, because the backlit screens weren't available yet until the Game Boy Advance SP.
When the SP came out, I remember having an SP when I was growing up. Like, I started off with the original GBA, and I really hated having to turn on the lamp every time just to play my Game Boy games whenever I'm in my either in my living room watching TV with my parents and all that. Like, that shit always annoyed me until the SP came out, and it was just great to have that backlit screen until, well, whenever my mom wanted to borrow it just to play Zelda on there. I was like, but I want to play it. but no, I still have a majority of handheld consoles too. Like, I refuse to give up my 2DS XL, because I just started recently playing Bowser's Inside Story, and I never played it on the original DS, which kind of upsets me a little bit, because that game, the Bowser's Inside Story is actually really good, especially since they're remastering some of the Mario and Luigi games. Like, they remastered the first one on 3DS, and I think that one, the 3DS version is actually a lot better than the original GBA version.
Mm-hmm.
Simply because the game is a lot more smoother on the 3DS than it was on GBA. Like, you could easily see that the frame rates on the new version are just significantly higher, and I like the new models for Mario.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Keep going on. I got somebody at my door. But yeah, keep going on doing the thing, and I'll be back in a sec.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I just like the frame rates that you would get on the 3DS version than you would get on the GBA version, because Mario and Luigi's models are updated to the Dream Team's Mario and Luigi models than they were on the GBA version, or the DS version. But that's just my own personal preference on how I feel about the games itself. So that's practically all I have to say about that.
Shit. All right, there we go. I'm back, guys.
That's right.
But yeah, I got a lot of those games too. Actually, I got them all emulated and all. But emulator usually can't. It doesn't give you the same feeling that playing on an actual console does as well.
I mean, yeah, that's true, but most of the time I can understand people emulating the games from GBA to DS because either they want to experience what the game is like and they don't want to go out and spend hundreds of dollars on a console or on a portable console just to play the game and even look for the game too, because most of the time you won't be able to find it.
Yeah, it's true. Especially nowadays, since Nintendo copyright struck all these main websites like freeroms.com. There was even a big one that I've been using for a good while, like EMU Paradise, which is still standard. Yeah,
I know it's all up there, but you can't download any ROMs from there since the whole Nintendo deal with them suing them for millions of dollars because of their copyrights infringement or damages. When in actuality, no, it can't. It's a really really touchy and tricky thing to talk about, especially if you're going against a giant like Nintendo. But in actuality, it's really unfair to do something like that because a lot of these retro consoles that are out there, they're either too rare to find or they're just way too expensive to grab your hands on. And I think it's bullshit that that Nintendo had done that, especially with how fucking stupid and shitty Switch Online is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. When the hell is their new service come out? I think it's either already out or you can start paying for it, I think like in November or something from what I heard.
I don't know. Like I actually just don't care about Switch Online right now. Like I just recently stopped doing stopped wanting to renew my my system and my Xbox turned on. Why the fuck did you turn on?
Something going on in the background.
Something, I don't know.
Yeah, they also did the same thing with another website where you can go online and you can read the PDF versions of Nintendo Power, and everybody was stoked. Like, you can read every single issue of Nintendo Power, and then, of course, like, not even a month later, Nintendo takes it down.
Yeah, it's because they're so backwards on the whole they're so backwards on the whole copyright issue. And I get that that Japan and the US or North America are extremely different with copyright laws, but their copyright laws are just so far outdated that it's not even funny.
And you're gonna lose like a whole bunch of fans when you do shit like that. Like you still got people who are into Nintendo, you know, they're still fans of Nintendo, but when you do certain things like that, you're really turning a lot of fans off. You're losing a big fan base. I mean, you're still going to draw in fans, you know, draw in new gamers with the Switch. You know, people hear how great the Switch is, you know, with all this, not just the first party games like, you know, the platformers and the exclusives like Mario, Zelda, Super Smash Brothers series, but you also got all this good third party support. Yeah. You got all the third.
I think it's a huge step up with what the Switch is doing with or what Nintendo's doing with the Switch compared to the Wii U. Because I remember, I think their last game that they stopped doing the third party support on was either Call of Duty Ghosts or Watch Dogs, from what my memory.
I think. I can't remember if there was a Watch Dogs game that came out on the Switch.
No, there's no Watch Dogs game on the Switch. Like the first or second is not on there.
Okay. Yeah, because I wonder how many games they have on the Switch so far.
I mean, compared to right now, because I think Nintendo is a major supporter of the indie titles. Like there's so many indie games on the Switch, it's not even funny. I mean, it's not comparable to
wow.
Steam. Like compared to Steam, Steam is still on top of the indie developer kind of deal, but Switch is slowly catching up to them.
This is kind of hard to believe, but I'm looking at the Wikipedia for the list of Nintendo Switch games now. A lot of these titles are either unreleased or to be announced, but right now it's saying there are currently 1,522 games across this page, and the remain. Holy shit! So you figure there's God. I mean, that's already been released, and take. I'm trying to think of it. But remember, a lot of these titles are also unreleased yet, and they're to be announced. So a lot of these aren't even, like, I'm even looking at Luigi's Mansion 3, which is stated for 2019. I don't even think that's out yet.
No, it's not.
Okay,
there hasn't been an announcement for the third game.
Okay, so far there's like let's just round it to about 1,400, 13 or 1,400 Nintendo Switch games. And that's a lot of games. That's like that blew the Wii out of the fucking water too.
Yeah, that did, because yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, the Wii is pretty good for their first party games. Like I still love the Galaxy games, but yeah, just hearing how many games are on the Switch right now, that just blows the Wii out of the out of the top of the games that are on there.
Like I even remember seeing like weird Wii games back when I was go to that store, Power Gamer. I would look at these games. I'm like, they really made this game and that game. But then again, I would go on Microsoft Store and I see things like Driving Simulator. I'm like, don't we have enough simulation games as is? And then it's like, this is not a game. It's an actual driving simulator. I'm like, okay. I'm like, what's the difference between me actually driving an automobile and driving in this software? It's not a game, you know. Quoting their description, it's not a game. It's a simulator. So I'm like, okay, what's the difference? I mean, is there points for driving straight on the road, or do I get penalized and get an achievement for crashing into a tree?
I mean, if they pull an American or Euro Truck Simulator book and they have consequences, like if you're driving on the wrong side of the road or cause accidents or whatever, you get fined for it. I don't know.
Yeah, my brother Prophet, he's actually in the chat. He plays a lot of the truck simulator games, and he actually has it on PC. And he's got a pretty good setup for his PC. He has the steering wheel. He paid, I think, a couple $100 for the steering wheel. And it comes with the pedal and all. It's a nice-ass steering wheel setup. And he's also got the rig for it, too, where you can attach it to this rig. And he actually can put it in front of the computer. And he'll sit there and he'll just drive. And it's like, God damn, I wish I had room in my fucking area for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always liked that whole idea, especially still with PC, since they have the more options for games and even their peripherals.
Yeah, that's true. American Truck Simulator is all you're hoping it comes to PS4. I know a lot of the simulation games are on Xbox as well. I think there's some of them that came to PS4. I remember playing Farming Simulator. I'm like, God, some people find this interesting. I'm like, this is boring as fuck.
I mean, if you're just wanting to kill time and want to know what a life of a farmer is like, I would go for it.
Well, somebody told me it was relaxing. I'm like, hey, to each his own.
I would know what farming is like because my grandparents are farmers. So I'm just like, dude, I know a better simulator. It's called actually going to a fucking farm and working for them.
Yeah, simulated. It's called, yeah, you train with them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my grandparents, like, they showed me what it's like to be a farmer. Mostly my grandfather, since he showed me how to drive his tractor, which was a lot of fun as a kid.
Yeah.
and he even taught me how to drive a quad bike too, which was so much fun.
I'm waiting for the next one to come out, Lawn Mowing Simulator.
Lawn mowing simulator. Oh, no.
Yeah, grasping lawnmower. You stand behind it, pull the string, and push.
If you drive over a rose bush, you owe a fine of $20.
And notice everybody, like, I don't think a lot of people have ever experienced one of those old-fashioned lawnmowers, like the ones that you push. It's like, it's not a gas-powered one. It's the one with the, like.
Oh, it's the one with the rotating blades at the bottom.
Yeah.
You just push it.
Yeah,
I mean,
those are hard as shit to push.
I wouldn't know. Like, my grandparents never had that. Like, because they have a huge plot of land. They have the drivable lawnmowers.
Mhm.
So it makes sense to have that. But I mean, I'm not egging on people who had the old school lawnmowers, but yeah, if you have a huge plot of land, that would suck.
Yeah, I know. Because I remember talking to somebody, because if you watch videos of people pushing those and it looks like they're struggling, there's a lot, you got to put a lot of force behind that. It's not as easy as it looks, because it's very heavy, and you got to really push it to get it going.
Oh.
And I'm like, yeah, that really made some labor back in the day. Let's put that in the game. Yeah, push mower simulator. You gotta take steroids for it too. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's easy for John Cena to push. He can just probably push it with his pinky.
Probably.
Well, let's see. I'm gonna go back on Nintendo one quick time. Since we were talking about Game Boys a while back. I don't know if you watch any videos from Cinemassacre on YouTube.
Oh, I'm subscribed to Cinemassacre. Like,
Okay.
I love James Rolfe and the Angry Video Game Nerd.
Yeah, I've been a fan of his since the very, very beginning. And he did a video last year on Game Boy accessories. And
I saw it.
there was two of them I had. And
really?
I think everybody had this. I had the bulky one. That big motherfucker that where you sit the Game Boy in the center. And it has these two speakers on the side and shit. God, I remember that. I can't remember. I think I got that for my birthday or Christmas one year, and I was like, "Holy shit!" It takes like 4C. It's like 4C or 4D batteries. That motherfucker got loud too, and it had this nice magnifying glass with the light on it and all. I was like, "God damn!" It's like turning your Game Boy into an arcade machine.
Yeah, and I remember seeing that. Like, I was like, why is that a thing? Like, I can understand that people would like that, but why is it a thing?
I even had another one of those. It was the one that slides over the Game Boy, and it has the speakers that fold out on the sides and the magnifying glass.
Oh yeah.
Because that one was pretty neat, and it also had this little attachment that goes over the buttons that gives it that little joystick feel and all. I can't remember how that powered up. I don't remember powering it up the way he did, like attaching the special peripheral to the battery department. I think I was able to connect it a certain way to where it ran on the power source. I can't remember how it was, but yeah, I had two of those, and God, that monstrosity, I forgot what the hell it was called. I had that for a few years before I got rid of that.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so I'm going to switch gears here. We're going to switch over to Sony. I know Empire, he's been wanting to talk about the newly released information today on the backwards compatibility with the PlayStation 5. And I do have some details that were leaked. Don't expect a surprise release of PS5 this year, but I assume they're going to release it within the next couple years, maybe by 2020 at least.
Yeah, I think that's what I heard too, that it's gonna be like sometime in the 2020s era.
Yeah. So going to an article real quick I found here. PS5 lead system architect Mark Kearney has shown off some of the internal components for the next generation PlayStation, which he is technically he's not calling the PlayStation 5. I mean, it could be called PS5, it could be called something else, I don't know. It's going to include a high-spec solid-state drive. Now, SSDs or solid-state drives, they are a normal thing now with consoles and PCs because they have a much faster data transfer capabilities.
Yeah, like I think that's why people say that if you're ever building a computer or whatever, that it's required nowadays to have an SSD because it loads everything up slightly way faster than what a normal mechanical hard drive could ever do.
Yeah. This is what is very interesting to me. A GPU capable of supporting ray tracing. And ray tracing is something new that they introduced with PC gaming with the new GPU graphics cards. I think they're like the RTX series.
Yeah, they're the RTX 20 series. Yeah, they are the ones that started the ray tracing technology.
Yeah, because they're supposed to make the graphics look a little bit more. I think it's more sharper or more clearer. I didn't really get too much into it. I don't know if you. I mean, is there anything that you can get into with that you may know about it?
I haven't really been paying attention to the RTX stuff, but I know from the top of my head that yeah, with the ray tracing and they are in the support of native 4K when it comes to PC gaming and all that, and it makes the images look twice as better than what you would get with the GTX graphics cards or with any other console that's on the market right now. Even it beats the One X slightly.
Yeah, it does.
It
That's
beats
right.
the One X.
Yeah, because my PC has a I'm running a GTX 1070, which is it's good enough for gaming right now for me, especially when running not even games, running certain softwares. It helps take a load off my CPU. That way, it's not running as hot as it usually would. So we got a SSD, we got a high-end GPU, which is the graphics card, and it will support PS4 backwards compatibility and won't be download only. So this is going to have a disk drive in it. It's not going to be all digital, which is also good news because there's still people out there that are still into collecting physical copies of video games, and not just video games, Blu-ray movies and DVD movies that they could be able to play on a device. Because I can't imagine nowadays going out buying a PlayStation or Xbox and then buying a Blu-ray drive separately. I mean, to each his own. There's nothing wrong with buying, a separate drive for watching movies. I hear your Xbox turning on again.
That was my phone.
Oh, okay.
So if you hear that noise go off, that's either my Xbox randomly turning on because of me or my phone just going off.
Oh, okay. But yeah, like for me, I'd rather have one device that does everything. Like the Xbox, it's not primarily for gaming. It's what they considered an entertainment center type console where you can play games, play music, listen to music, watch movies, and all that. And I'm like, okay, I have a shit ton of movies on DVD. I still want to be able to watch those movies in an updated format on the Xbox One X, which is what I have. I mean, DVDs will probably still have that old standard digital look to them, but it's supposed to clear the image up a little better on the console or whatever. But I don't see me going out just buying another device just to play my movies on. I mean,
if the first product works just as fine for watching movies, then what's the point of wanting to upgrade it? I mean, yeah, you would get better hardware support or whatever, but at the same time, it's like, what's really the point of doing that? You're just pretty much wasting your money right there.
Yeah. So in this article, it also says, in a meeting with Wired, which is Wired.com, I'm actually reading this on IGN.com, Kearney also explained that the console will definitely not be released in 2019 and demonstrated why this is true next-gen gaming machine rather than a PS4 upgrade in the vein of the PS4 Pro. Kearney explained that the console's GPU is a variant of the AMD Ryzen 3rd generation, and that its GPU is a custom version of Radeon's Navi line. That GPU is capable of ray tracing, a high-performance graphical technique with some incredible results. As you expect, the console will now support 8K displays. Jesus Christ!
I know it, but here's my issue that I have with Sony saying that they're going to support 8K when, first off, no TVs that you would see outside of anywhere, or even monitors, for example, except for Apple, support 8K. They're mainly all caught up with the 4K resolution,
Yep.
which I think it's incredibly dumb that they're gonna do that. But you know what? Let them do what they want.
Mm-hmm. I know, because I had just got a 4K TV recently. I'm finally caught up with times, and then they're talking about 8K displays. I'm like, okay, those TVs, when they come out, they're going to be God. Well,
they're going to also be godly expensive if you think of it. Like
could be
probably well over, if you're thinking of it, well over $2,000 or maybe close to the 5K mark.
Yeah, because if you look at TVs at, let's say you go to Best Buy and you want right now, the standard definition or the standard TV size in just about every living room, or let's say half of America has them in their living room. A standard size is like 55 to 65 inches. That's how big they go right now. I mean, they go bigger. You can go like to a big screen store. Hopefully you can get that son of a bitch in your house because it's so big.
Yeah.
But a standard TV, like I have a 55-inch myself. That's good enough for what I use it for. And that's $500 right there. But if you want like a good name brand, like let's say you want a Sony or you want LG, you're going to pay well over $1,000 for one of those, especially if it's in 4K. If you want the option for smart TV, and if
that's going to cost you.
Yep. And if it supports HDR, which that's what mine does. I mean, I'm going to cover this in a whole other episode, whatever, talking about TVs. But I'm kind of against smart TVs, and I have my reasons to. But it's a smart TV. I mean, it gets a whole bunch of weird apps and shit on there. I'm like, if I can watch them without having to turn on the Xbox, that's all right. But it also support. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I don't mind the idea of smart TVs because there would be a lot of people who mainly just strictly use nothing but internet, and they don't have the cable boxes built inside their house, put inside their house from their cable company or whatever company that they are a part of. And I think because with smart TVs, you just hook it up onto the internet, you can plug in a keyboard into your smart TV and then go on things like Netflix, Hulu, whatever kind of programs that are on there. I actually find it a wee bit interesting that TVs, they're kind of like turning into semi PCs a little bit.
Yeah, and I do agree with that too. Like you said, there's people out there who, they can't afford cable. Maybe they can afford internet. Maybe they don't watch cable at all. So, and you don't want to buy a separate box for like Netflix or whatever. You get something like what I have. I have a TCL Roku TV, and it has just about every app you can ask for. The Amazon, the Hulu, Crackle, Netflix, all of that, and you access it all at once. Like, when I set the damn thing up, I literally had to go online and actually register the TV and create an account for it. I'm like, you serious? I'm like, serious? I have to create an account for fucking television? Are you kidding me?
Well, I mean, if it's Roku, then I would understand that. But I think with Amazon, if you have an Amazon account with their Fire TVs or whatever, you just sign into your Amazon account and then you're basically good
Yeah.
with that. But I don't know what the other brands are like. Like I know that RCA with the one that I have at my work, like we're selling like a 60-inch RCA 4K TV, but they don't say what it's under. It's just I think it's under mainly RCA, but it's not under Amazon or Roku or whatever. But we do have Roku's there, which is not really a 4K TV, but it's yeah.
Yeah. And I heard the Roku TVs were pretty good for what they do, especially since mine is it's 4K and it also supports HDR, or high dynamic range, which enhances the colors and enhances the picture a little bit more clearer, brighter.
Mhm.
And it really, some of the games like on Xbox, they really stand out pretty beautiful. Like, and like I was sitting there playing one of the Forza Horizon 4, and it looked absolutely beautiful, not only in 4K but the HDR. And I was like, well, I'm happy with it so far. It's just my only thing with my history with smart TVs. The last one I had, it was a Hisense, and I had that thing for 2 years. And one night I came home from work, I wanted to turn the TV on, unwind, relax. TV was on for like 30 seconds and then just cut off. I'm like, okay. So I went to turn it back on. The Hisense logo popped up and it turned off again. So I was like, alright, what the fuck's going on with this now? So I'm troubleshooting it on the internet, and some people are like, oh, okay, unplug it for 30 seconds, plug it back in, da-da-da. And there's this little power light that's on the front of the TV, and I noticed, like, whenever I turn it on, the Hisense logo will pop up, then would go black, and that little light would blink 5 times before it goes off, and I'm like, what the hell does that mean? So I looked it up, and they say, oh, a lot of smart TVs are, it's a common thing in certain smart TVs where something goes up, the capacitor on the motherboard or whatever in the TV goes up, and you would have to replace either the capacitors on there or replace the whole motherboard. I'm like, you kidding me? I'm like, I gotta take this fucking TV apart to replace a goddamn capacitor or fucking motherboard?
Yeah, I think that sounds incredibly stupid. But I'm thinking it's probably having to do with, like you said, it's certain smart TVs that tend to do that, like maybe Hisense, because from what I know, Hisense is one of the lower end brands of TVs that you can buy. Like I have one, but it's not it's not a smart TV. But if you go for the bigger brands like maybe LG and even whatever, or even go with whatever kind of brand is really expensive, I'm pretty sure that most of them will not have that kind of a hardware failure if you look at it with the brands.
Yeah, because I even double checked on the TCLs myself, because this was having a similar issue actually a couple weeks ago where it turned off and I just unplugged it, plugged it back in, and it came back up. And somebody had posted something on YouTube, and I watched a couple videos, and for these TVs here, I mean, it looks easy. If I could find a motherboard for it, if I have to, I mean, the TV's light as hell. I could just take that off, take it apart, watch a YouTube video, just replace the old motherboard in it, and I'm like, gone are the days of fixing tube TVs. Like tube TVs, I'm pretty sure they were expensive to fix back in the day. We used to take them to like a mom and pop shop where they fixed the damn things for half the price you pay for the TV. But now it's like you can actually do it at home now, and TVs have motherboards in them, but that's because they're smart TVs.
Yeah, and like I said, they're kind of like almost all-in-one PCs if you really look at it that way.
It's amazing how we come so far with this technology.
Yeah, it is pretty great. It's always interesting to me, especially with how computers even evolved from their capabilities or the limitations that they had to right now with
Yeah.
their endless possibilities of what you can do with it.
Oh man, but yeah, we got, let's see, 8K. Yeah, going back on that, yeah, even Empire said 8K is coming in 2020. Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen with the PS5 when that comes out. They'll probably release some TVs that are in 8K. Those are for rich people. If you got like $2,000 for one of those, hey, more power to you. Also, Kearney has also showed off the power of the console's new solid-state drive for the PS5 with a practical demo. According to Wired, fast traveling between locations in Insomniac's Spider-Man on PS4 Pro took 15 seconds. Using a next-gen PlayStation dev kit, the same action took 0.8 seconds, so I guess it runs a little bit more faster. It probably... I can imagine this console having an unlocked frame rate, because consoles right now, their frame rate is locked anywhere between 30 and 60 frames a second. Whereas if you got a PC, if you're PC gaming, frame rate's unlocked. Like, I've played PUBG at like 80, 90 frames per second, and it looked fucking beautiful.
Yeah, I've played Doom mostly. I play most PC games right now. Like, having that unlocked frame rate, having the games a lot smoother is really, really the best thing about PC gaming, really.
Yeah.
And compared to consoles where you're limited to just having 30 frames per second, and you can't unlock that frame rate at all.
Yeah, because consoles, when you put those components together, that's it. Like, PCs are upgradable. You can put, if you get a good gaming PC that could be upgraded for years to come, and you got a motherboard that could support all of that power. Yeah, I mean, I have the HP Omen, so I'm pretty sure this is very customizable. Like, I could probably, if it supports it, I'm pretty sure I would have to get a much higher end power supply for it. I could probably get the newest the RTX.
Yeah, like, you can easily upgrade your graphics cards and even your power supplies, except, well, with the power supply, you would just have to unplug it, and you would have to look for a really, really good brand. Like EVGA, for example, are known for being really good brands of power supplies.
Oh yeah, I've heard about them. Yeah.
Yeah, you just need to look for the 80 plus ratings, like gold, bronze, silver, whatever, and they last you for years with if you have that 80 plus rating. Whereas if you look at cheaper power supplies, they're not going to last as long, and they're very, very unreliable.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Let's close up with the PlayStation here real quick. Okay, so we covered that. We also finally got confirmation that the console will still accept physical media rather than taking download only or streaming only form. That's a good thing. So Sony actually going in the right direction with this console. That ties into another aspect. It will be backwards compatible with PS4 games, although we don't know if it goes any further, though, with the generations of that. The current PlayStation VR model will also be compatible with the new console. Oh, that's nice too. That's cool that they're taking that peripheral with them too. Kearney also covers the fact that the new AMD CPU will allow for 3D audio with no extra hardware. With the next console, the dream is to show how dramatically different the audio experience can be when we apply significant amounts of hardware horsepower to it. Much is still up in the air after the demonstration. On the surface level, there's no sense for what the final console will look like, nor what form of controllers it will take. So if you guys look on Facebook or Twitter and you see these supposed leaked photos of what the PS5 looked like, don't believe it. You're not going to see the actual console until it comes out.
No, it's kind of a little bit of the same way when the PS3 was coming out, where they said the PS3 was going to be completely all glass, and
Oh my god!
And the controller just looked like what you would see in Space Invaders.
It looked like a fucking boomerang.
It looks so bad. But then the PS3 launched, and it had that design for years. Same with and then when the PS4 came out, I don't know what the rumors were like when that console came out, or what they said. Oh, what this is what the PS4 is going to look like. Yeah, just don't even buy into any what
Yep.
these fucking assholes say, or what they're gonna say that's a leak.
See, my biggest worry for the next console, because I'm not going to plan on getting the next gen console for a good while, because I just recently got my One X, not even a year ago, and I've been having a lot of fun playing the titles on it, enjoying the interface, enjoying everything about it, and then you hear, oh, they're planning another console. I'm like, I haven't even barely put a dent in this son of a bitch yet. So
yeah, that's always a big problem with me with the console marketing these days, is that if you just recently bought the console and surprise, a next gen console is coming out, you're like, dude, I barely even did anything with this thing. Like, can you at least give me some time to play with it? Or if you just think like, oh, I should have. Yeah, that's just fucking dumb.
See, what I like from what I read in that article is they said it's going to be backwards compatible with PS4 games, which I'm like, okay, at least PS4 is still going to be, it's not going to be obsolete. So you're still going to be able to play PS4 games. So let's say KOOPA has a PS5 and I got a PS4, and we want to play Doom with each other. We can still play Doom with each other. That's what I like.
Yeah, that's the best thing about that, because the PS4 is still a massively popular console for a lot of people because of the more technically superior power that they had at launch compared to the original Xbox One.
Yep. And I mean the specs on it too. I mean, I got to see more than. I mean, okay, they're saying, okay, the GPU it supports ray tracing. It's going to have a solid state hard drive in it. It's going to load really fast. Now, I know one thing that's going to be in everybody's minds right now, and it's not going to be talked about probably until E3 if they decide to do an event. Actually, I think Sony dropped out at E3.
Yeah, I heard Sony had dropped out.
That's
I
right.
think it's just only Microsoft that's going to be there, and maybe Bethesda or somebody. I don't know.
That's right. Yeah, Sony's going to have their own event. So I know, like, okay, it's not going to be a digital-only console, which is good, because people still use physical forms of entertainment. So at least they're still going to have a disk drive. One thing it's hard to say I want this because it's the norm now. I would say, look, when you buy a game physical, why should I have to install the entire game just to play it? I could say, okay, let me install just a gig or two, maybe something that will actually trigger the game itself. Maybe it'll trigger the coding in the disc itself to where it'll play. I mean, I can understand. Okay, install the game so it runs a lot smoother. You get get 60 frames per second. You get all of that. But nowadays, it's like when you're looking at how the PS4 and the Xbox One is going, and you download a game, and it's like 60, 70 gigs. Like, even when you get a physical copy, you still got to install that game, and you're still installing 50, 60 gigs, and you're still required to use a disc. And it's like, what's the point in buying the physical copy? So I hope they do some kind of change with that. I mean, if you still want to do digital downloads, that's fine. I do a lot of digital downloads myself, because Bane and I, we game share on Xbox. So between the both of us, we got over 600 games. And that's the original Xbox, the 360, and Xbox One games that we got between us. And that's a lot of space. Like, I got 2 external hard drives plugged up to my Xbox right now. I got a total of 10 terabytes of space with one terabyte left free.
Oh, wow.
And that's not every single game installed on it. That's like 345 games installed, plus DLC, plus patches and updates. And those patches and updates, oh my god, they eat up a lot of space too.
They do. Like, it's ridiculous.
So I'm like, I hope that they kind of I hope they try to get it right with the next gen with that, and at least I mean, they already know now, don't release your console with a 500 gigabyte hard drive, because that's not enough space.
No, it's not. It wouldn't be as much space. Like I would say the norm for what they should launch it is maybe 2 terabytes of storage.
I was
Instead of
thinking the
just
same.
sticking to one.
Yeah, I was actually thinking the same. Like, even 1 terabyte right now, it's not even enough. When you got games like Red Dead Redemption 2 that's taking up 100 gigabytes of space, like,
Yeah, that's gonna be practically all gone.
yeah. So I would say like start out with like 2 terabytes of space. Now, this console, even though it's not going to release probably till next year, I can already see a price release of close to about $500, maybe, because of all the components with it. Because you got to figure, you know, it's got high-end components. It's got a high-end GPU that's capable of ray tracing and 8K resolution and display. It's going to have solid-state drives. And solid-state drives, they're expensive right now, too. Like,
Well, depending on the brand that you're looking at, like, there are some SSDs out there that are really, really cheap.
Okay. Because I know, like, some places will sell, like, a 500 gigabyte for, like, just under $200, and that's still pretty expensive right there.
Mm-hmm. But like I said, it usually depends on the brand that you're looking at. Like, if you're looking at something like WD, like their WD Blue SSDs, like the cheapest one that I saw for that particular one was like maybe $40 in
Oh,
Canada.
okay. Wow.
Yeah,
That's pretty cheap, especially in Canada.
yeah. Like, just remember, Canada has the more expensive end of everything.
Yeah, they're like $2 or $3 more than what we pay down here for products.
Yeah, it's not great.
So, with the SSDs, the GPU, okay, the SSD, I assume, all right, since it's gonna be SSD, I would assume maybe I would say add a 2 terabyte SSD, or if you want to do something like the way most PCs are, you have an SSD and a standard hard drive in there. I would say have an SSD for for the OS of the console, and maybe to help everything buffer a little better, more smoother, and then just put like a 2 terabyte hard drive in there to start out with. I don't know about the memory, the RAM, that won't come out till a little bit more later when they actually go more in depth in it.
It's probably going to be well over 8 gigabytes of RAM from what I think. It's probably going to be either 12 or probably a full 16 gigs of RAM, if I would guess.
Well, for 8K displays, I can imagine them going at least 16 or 32.
Yeah, either one of the two.
So that's going to be pretty high up there, right there. So I can see this console. I mean, I'm pretty sure Sony would probably hit the $450, maybe $500 mark. That's what I'm aiming at right there. So I'm aiming like for the PS5, possibly $450 or $500. That's like with the One X. When the One X came out, people were bitching that it was $500, but I'm like, look, this console, you got to look at the components that are put into it. It's compatible with 4K gaming, 4K display. It runs everything a lot more smoother, and it runs a little bit more faster. So with all these powerful components in the One X, it's understandable that it's $500. Like, I can see why it's $500. I'm not going to bitch about it being $500. We go, oh, I can go out and get a One S for almost half the price, maybe. And it's like, well, yeah, they still do the same thing. They still play games and all. They're still a lot faster than what the OG Xbox One can do. But the One X, it's got those components in it, so you can be able to play games in 4K that's compatible with it. And it looks really good, and it feels really good, especially when some games play at a beautiful 60 frames per second. Mm-hmm. And I even had a debate with a buddy of mine when I told him I had it, and he was like, I want to get one, but I don't have a 4K TV. And I said, that's not necessary. They say you do not need a 4K TV to play it. They said if you got like a regular traditional HD TV that supports up to 1080i or 1080p, it's still going to look just as beautiful as it does on a 4K.
Mm-hmm.
And for $500, it's not a bad price. But if you can't afford it, you can still get the 1S, which is still a good deal. It's still up to par with the software and everything. So you're not really missing out. So if somebody were to ask me, what should I get, the 1X or the 1S? And I would just say whatever you can afford, whatever you think is better for you. I mean, I don't suggest anybody go out and get a 1X right away.
Yeah,
I'm up to date with mine and all because I had my reasons for updating. It was dumb reasons, but in a way, I guess I am glad in the end that I did. But I would suggest if anybody wants to buy an Xbox right now, I would say get a 1S. A 1S, it's cheaper. It still does the job that the 1X does. Everything's the same. It's just just
the 1X is a little bit technically superior compared to the OG Xbox One and the 1S.
Yeah. And then
but you still have for the 1S that I see is that they still have the disc tray compared to the 1X, which I think for a lot of people, if they still want to keep using their physical copies of games, then go for the 1S because, like you said, it's a lot cheaper than what you can get with the 1X. Because over $500 for just a huge upgrade over that, I think you should settle for the 1S because it's like maybe $300 or $200. It's just like $200 cheaper.
Yeah, it's a $200 difference. Or if you want to do something like go to GameStop and get a used one, it's like $200. You're saving $250 right there. It's pretty cheap.
It is. And
since we're shifting waves here, we're going over into Microsoft Xbox, which is the final topic of the podcast. We're going to talk about the newly leaked information for the Xbox One S discless all-digital console, and this was leaked just a few days ago. And I was watching a video of it, and I had to look up the everything for it to be able to read it and give my input on it. And this was leaked over in Europe, actually. So I'm pretty sure the information for America is going to be the same. I don't know. These are just rumors right now. But reading this article from firstgamers.com, we might be slowly barreling our way towards a brand new console generation, complete with game streaming, a PS5, and one or two new Xboxes. I'm going to cover that too also. But that doesn't mean there isn't room for more hardware here in this generation. We've heard rumblings, though nothing official, that Microsoft is planning on releasing a all-digital-only Xbox One with a no-disc drive and a lower price point to match. Now, we've got some further confirmation. German retailer WinFuture.de appears to have inadvertently tweeted out an ad for the upcoming console that was scooped up by Wario64 on Twitter, which has said the all-digital console leaked 229 pounds, 1 terabyte for a May 7th release in Europe. It looks exactly like you imagine an Xbox One with no disk drive will look like, which is not surprising. This looks like it's going to be very clearly located in the Xbox One family, and Microsoft wouldn't want to confuse the market with a more extreme redesign just before it's announced the new Scarlet hardware. It looks like it will come out with a 1 terabyte hard drive and pre-installed with Sea of Thieves, Minecraft, and Forza Horizon 3, covering a pretty broad base of demographics. The one costs £229, though other regions might get different bundles. I'm assuming that we will see some sort of bundle with Game Pass and Xbox Live Gold. This machine is more or less designed to sell those after all. Now, there's a few things with what I just read in this whole article. Now, over in Europe, things cost a little bit, well, in pounds, the currency in pounds is a little bit more less than what it is in the US dollar. So they're saying 230 pounds over there. So over here, we're seeing about maybe $250 for this console. Where right now, you can get a 1S with a disc drive for like 300 at least. Maybe a little less, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of a little bit of a confusing thing for me, is that why would Microsoft want to release an Xbox that's discless when you already have, like, just recently the One X that just came out like a year ago? Like, why would you want to do something like that? That makes absolute no sense.
Yeah. And I was looking at the picture of it. I don't know. Let me see if I can... Can I save this picture? Okay. I'm going to post this in the Discord for you. I don't know if you've seen this picture yet. This is what it looks like. It basically is a 1S with no disc tray. Like, I was watching a video where somebody was talking about it, and they were like, it's basically a 1S. I mean, you can imagine it being a little bit more slimmer than the 1S because there's no disc drive, but it's
still a 1S. Like,
yeah, it's basically the same size as the 1S.
Yeah.
And all they did was just cover up the hole where
the disc tray was. Yeah, like, that's...
It makes no sense.
Yeah, no, that makes no sense. Like, we're already close to the end of this generation of consoles, and Microsoft releases this at the end of their life cycle.
I know, and of course, like, it already is the 1S. If not many know, 1S, it stands for the Slim. This is a slim version of the Xbox One. Also, it's a little bit more powerful. It's lighter in weight than what the OG one was. And the power supply is built into the console, so you don't have that big ass power brick.
No.
So I'm like, with this, I could see, be ready for the red ring of death on it. Yeah, I know. I could see that coming.
I'm thinking that too. I can't wait to see that.
And here's another thing that really bugs me. Okay, the games that are going to be pre installed on the game. Sea of Thieves, which is a Game Pass exclusive. I got to get back into playing that game. That was a lot of fun. Minecraft is a traditional standard for any Xbox console, even including PlayStation at times.
And I think it's, well, to me, I kind of prefer playing the PC version just a tiny bit.
I actually agree with you. Yeah, I agree with that.
Because again, the mouse and keyboard controls are just vastly better than what you can get when you're playing the console version. But it's your own personal preference. If you like the controller version, then that's fine. But for me, I just like the mouse and keyboard on Minecraft more.
Yeah. Now, here's one thing that kind of twists my nipple a little bit. Is the fact that they're launching it with Forza Horizon 3. What's wrong with that?
Why? It's just I don't know.
When you got Forza Horizon 4 out now, you're going to release it with 3.
That doesn't make it... dumb marketing.
No, it doesn't.
Like, if you need to... Oh my god.
It's a mind fuck. It really is.
It is. It blows my mind that Microsoft would do shit like that. Like, that's so dumb.
That's almost like if we go back to like an hour ago when we were talking about the PSP Go, you know?
Yeah. Like, why would you do that? Like, when you take away a certain thing and just just make it look just twice as worse. Like,
yeah, because all I gotta say is Microsoft is look at what Sony did with the PSP. Look how long the PSP Plus lasted. It didn't last that long.
Oh my god.
Any news on the name change thing? Oh yeah, I'll definitely cover that. I forgot about that. Thanks, Empire. I'll cover that in a little bit too. But yeah, it's bundled with these 3 games. Now, it could be different over in America. Like, over there in Europe, they're getting Sea of Thieves, Minecraft, and Horizon 3. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why either. When like you said, the 4th game is out.
Yeah, and then of course it's bundled with a 1 terabyte hard drive. If you want to release that, I would say make it 2 terabyte, because if it's all digital console,
you need to have more hard drive space than just the 1 terabyte. Like, it's fine, it does the job, but unless if you want to buy your own mechanical hard drive or a portable hard drive, or even get an SSD for it, then feel free. But I think for a lot of people, or the majority of the consumer, they want to see more hard drive space on that Xbox, more so than what it's presented right here.
Yeah. And there was another thing that was pointed out too. When I watched this video, they said there was no mention of an added bundle of, an added bonus of Game Pass or Xbox Live Gold. Now, usually when you buy a Microsoft product, whether it's a new controller or the console itself, when you buy hardware accessories, sometimes they'll come with a free month subscription to Gold or Game Pass. Now, if this console does not come bundled with at least 3 months of Gold or 3 months of Game Pass, or at least both, it's gonna fucking bomb. People are gonna be pissed.
It is, like, just by the way that, I mean, it is leaked. Then they could always tweak it as the months go on before the launch of the discless Xbox One. But just right now, by the sound of what they're doing with how the console is and all that, and no mention of the Game Pass and Gold, that's kind of a little bit of a turnoff for a consumer who just sees this.
Yeah.
And why would you want to buy something like that when you can easily get a 1S with the newest games? Like, you can easily get Tom Clancy's The Division 2 with a 1S, and it'll come with Gold right there and the free game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a newer title that's being marketed, so of course a lot of people want to get that. Whereas if it's not, Horizon, Sea of Thieves, understandable, but it's kind of a little bit has nothing to do in it if you play it long enough. Minecraft, it's kind of dead a little bit. It's kind of not a relevant game as much as Fortnite or whatever, or even Apex. But Forza Horizon 3, just by the sound of that, is an incredibly dumb idea to do.
It's outdated. I want to say it's a little outdated.
It's outdated. Like, it's outdated compared to the 4th. But if you want this game to be more successful, launch a more recent game like The Division 2 or whatever game is going to come out when this console drops into the market, instead of just having it as is without any Game Pass, without any subscription to Game Pass or Gold. Just, you need to get your shit together on that, Microsoft.
Oh my god, yeah. Especially since they look at it where people are buying a lot of more digital content than they are physical, but it's still a good thing to release a console with a disc drive, because people still play physical media.
Physical copy. Yeah. And not a lot of people want to pay the actual full price on a digital copy or wait for a really good sale. Whereas, it's not going to be leagues better. It's not going to be on the same league with Steam, where it's all digital, and all the sales on Steam are way better than what you can get on PlayStation and even the Xbox store. But, if you want to buy a used game for the Xbox, then you know what? You're free to do so. But with just this, with the discless drive and all that, you're basically forcing the consumer to buy gold separately and buy a full priced digital copy of a game not on sale.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of leaning towards the anti-consumer practice right there.
Yep. Especially like since they're trying to promote not only buying all things digital and playing all things digital, but if you're trying, they're also I can see them trying to promote Game Pass. I would say, okay, if you want to promote this console, especially with digital and especially with your service with Game Pass, where you can just pay a subscription fee and then download the games, I would say add at least a 3 or 6 month Game Pass code to the console, and along with gold, like maybe a year supply of gold, because a lot of this stuff requires Xbox Live to play online, especially if you got a game like Sea of Thieves, which is an online only game. And Forza Horizon 3 also has the same feat, but you can also play that offline. But if you're including a game such as Sea of Thieves, and it requires an internet connection at all times, and you don't supply them with Xbox Live, then that's a very shit move right there. But hopefully this is just hopefully there's more to it than meets the eye from what I've read. Like, I mean, that is kind of weak with the I mean, it's a nice feat to bundle 3 games with one console, because usually when you buy a console bundle, it comes with one game. But that is pretty neat. But the lineup is pretty weak. You know,
Yeah,
like you
that
said,
lineup
add
is-
something more updated, like The Division or Forza Horizon 4. Maybe you want to promote Halo or Gears of War, you know, bundle it with Gears of War 4 or Halo 5 or something, you know. But Forza Horizon 3, that came out like 2-3 years ago, and we already got Forza Horizon 4. It's been out for the last 6-7 months.
Mm-hmm. So get your shit together, Microsoft. Otherwise, you're just gonna really turn off a lot of people with this whole diskless Xbox One.
Yeah, just like they're already talking about bringing out 2 new consoles for the next generation. You got Scarlet. I think Scarlet is going to be the old digital one, and the second one's going to have a disc. I don't know what they're going to name that. I forgot.
I think it was codenamed Anaconda, I think.
That might be. I think it's Anaconda and Scarlet. So it's going to be two Xboxes that are coming out. One with a disc drive, one without. Which is I don't want to say it's interesting, but it's like, okay, that's something, I guess.
Something, but we need to hear more about this. I mean, Sony just did the PS5 specs and all that, whereas right now we haven't heard anything about Scarlet or Anaconda.
Yeah, and I love both consoles. I do. I've been a fan of PlayStation and Xbox since the very beginning. I've played all generations of consoles. I love the software. I love the titles on them. I love the controllers. I love the consoles themselves. But nowadays, it's like, okay, Microsoft is starting to do some weird shit. And I'm like, okay, Sony? And then Sony's like, boom, ray tracing. Boom, solid state drive. Boom, 8K gaming. Compatible with PS4 games. I'm like, okay, Microsoft? I mean, we'll probably won't hear more information about it until E3.
Later on, yeah, later on until E3 when we hear about Anaconda and Scarlet, but but only time will tell when it happens.
And I'm going to cover this last one. I forgot all about it. I'm sorry, Empire. The name change on PS4. I'm also going to get your input on it too. So
yeah, because I have a lot to say about the name change.
Oh yeah,
because like I've recently changed my gamer tag on PSN, and it's just a horrible experience.
Oh, I bet. So I found this article. It's on BGR.com. You can change your PSN name right now for free starting today, but there's one huge caveat. More than a decade after Sony first debuted the PlayStation Network service on the PS3, it's finally now possible to change your PlayStation Network ID. For nearly 2 console generations, PlayStation owners have been stuck with whatever ridiculous name they chose for their PSN account when they created it. But after announcing the long-awaited feature last October, Sony had finally added the option Wednesday, April 10th. This is good news. The bad news is that Sony can't guarantee that this feature will work on any games other than those originally published on or after April 1st, 2018. And even if a game is less than a year old, Sony says it can't guarantee it will be supported, as it ran into issues at least with one of the recent titles. When Sony says that the name change feature isn't supported, it doesn't just mean that you won't be able to see your new name in those games. It means that changing your PSN name could result in crucial problems, such as lost in-game currency, including premium currency you bought with real money, loss of progress, loss of trophies, and the inability to play user-created content. Some of these games with critical issues will include Everybody's Golf, Little Big Planet 3, Onrush, The Golf Club 2, and 3 of the last 6 MLB The Show games. Before you even think about changing your PSN name, be sure to check Sony's list of games with issues and make sure you don't plan on playing those games anytime soon. If you decide that you're willing to take the risk, these are the steps. These are the instructions for changing your PSN name on your PS4 or your PC. You would go to your PS4 settings, account management, information profile, enter your online ID, and then follow the on-screen instructions. Same thing with the web browser. Now, here's the best thing about Microsoft. I have an account. I've only changed the name once or twice on it. I've had this account for so many years. The first time you create a Microsoft account, they give you some weird fucking name. They'll call you Big Spinkter 68 when you first.
I remember that. I remember the user-generated gamer tags.
Yeah, and they give you one free chance to change your gamer tag, and then after that, you pay $10 to change it. Which is fine, you know. I'm okay if I want to change my name to Big White Willie next week. I'll be okay. Payday's next week. I'll change my name, you know. And no matter what, no matter how many times you change your name on Xbox, nothing changes because it's one account, it's one email address linked to that account. Your achievement list stays the same. All your game saves and in-game currencies for whatever games you play, everything stays the same. It's all account based. So Microsoft can do it. They've had no issue with it since Xbox Live became a thing way back on the OG Xbox or even 360. They never had a problem with it. So why is this such an issue for PlayStation right now? Like, they could have implemented this so many fucking years ago, and now they finally bring it in, and it's like, oh, well, any games that you play before, hey, Bentacore Rex, what's up, man? Good to see you in here. Tell Sony to give me my motherfucking demo disc. I ain't seen it in a while. What's up, man? I'm still playing too many games, man. I still got too many games to play and too many games to buy, man. I'm so backlogged. Like the last time I talked to you, goddamn, I'm even further backlogged, man. I got a fucking 2 mile long backlog of games, I tell you. So that's my brother from another mother. That's my boy. That's my boy Ray right there. So we used to work together and all. Yeah, demo discs were the shit back in the day. Well, I'll tell you what. Yeah. Hey. Go over and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Arrow Entertainment. The link's down below. I actually did a video a month or two ago where I played a couple of the old demo discs. You would love that. That's old school nostalgia right there, man. But going back to Sony now, my boy Rex, he's a big PlayStation fan. You haven't played games in ages? Oh shit, that's right. I forgot you've been busy a lot. God damn. But yeah, So my boy Rex, he's a big PlayStation fan. He's a PlayStation gamer. I love PlayStation too. You know, I've played PlayStation for, God, when the hell did it come out? 96. God, over 20 years I've been playing PlayStation. And this is like the biggest black eye to gamers that Sony just recently did with this name change. So I'm like, if Microsoft has no issue with the name changes, why does Sony have so many issues? Like, why can I not play a game from 2 years ago if I change my name? You know, you're gonna tell me that you're gonna delete or corrupt my save data, anything in game. If it's an online game, I'm gonna lose all that content. I'm gonna lose everything in game. I'm gonna lose the achievement list for that game. Like, what the hell are you doing, Sony? I mean, first of all, it shouldn't have been in beta form at all to begin with. It should have been something that they should have implemented when the PS4 came out. And plus, you know, your gameplay, your game data should not be affected at all. You love the fact that Microsoft and Nintendo are stiff competition. Yep, gamers benefit. So go ahead and give your input on all this, because you said you had a lot, and I'm very interested to hear.
Yeah. Well, first off, I hate the fact that this took Sony well over 10 plus years just to get this whole thing put in there. Whereas, like you said, with Microsoft and even Valve, they've done it way better than what Sony has done recently. It's annoying to me that it has just been this long for you to do this, Sony. Like, and more importantly, when I've done the name change myself, it was very, very bad. Like, it signs you out of your account when I did that on my PC, and I tried signing in a couple of times, and and when I signed back in, it glitched on me and it wouldn't show me my friends list, which really, really bugged me.
Oh, wow.
And it took well over a couple of hours or somewhere along the lines of that for me to see my friends list and even to hop back into a party chat with a couple of my friends on PSN. Whereas if I did that on Xbox Live, none of that issue happened. Same with Steam. But my biggest issue with Sony and Microsoft compared to Valve when they're with Steam, you don't have to pay anything for a name change. You could change your name as many times as you want, and you don't have to pay $10 or whatever the fuck for a name change. Whereas Sony and Microsoft, they charge you $10 for a simple name change, and it's like, dude, why does it need to be why do you need to have a big fee? If you want to change your name, you should be free to do so, and you don't have to pay these companies this absurd amount of money for that. With $10, you could do whatever the fuck you want. You can use that and put that into your account, and even maybe buy a cheap indie game on the store, and not have to use it for a gamer tag change. Like, I think that's one of the dumbest things ever. Like I said, Valve does this better. Origin even does this better. And as much as people like to rag on the Epic Games Store, they actually don't make you pay for a simple name change. It's just that simple. If you want to change your name, fucking do it. You don't have, don't charge your customers $10 just for a gamer tag change. Like, God fucking damn. Like, even Nintendo, with their shitty service with Switch Online, they actually allow you to not have to pay for a name change with your Switch Online ID. Like, get your, Sony and Microsoft, this is not 2006 anymore. We're now in the modern era, and your biggest competition right now, compared to either Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo, it's Steam. It's Valve and Origin. It's Steam and Origin. that are your biggest competitors. And if they're allowing you to not have to be if they're not charging you for a name change, you know what? I can feel free to do the name change as many times as I want, and without having to worry about that. And I can use that extra money for a small little indie game that interests me. I don't need to worry about having that put into for a simple name change that's gonna last maybe I don't know how long. Whether if you get bored of that name or you just want to change it because you think it's stupid.
Yep.
Like this whole thing right now with the charging about that, and well, more recently with Sony's horrible just decade-long wait for the name change is kind of ridiculous. Just
no, there's no words for it. Like Microsoft, I mean, I don't understand the reasoning behind why they charge you for changing your gamer tag. I mean, unless it's like that's part of their whole service thing that they make money. It's like, well, you're paying for the software.
Well, you're paying for the software, but you're also paying for online too. Like,
yep.
Isn't that enough? Like, you're paying for the games online. You don't need to charge $10 for you to change your name because you know it's not a premium fee for that. Because I guarantee you, many people will say that they hate having to pay a certain amount of money for their gamer tag to be changed.
Yeah, that's like if I go back to like PS3, let's say, back then with PlayStation, you could play online for free. You didn't have to pay for PlayStation Plus. The only reason you had to pay for PlayStation Plus if you wanted to, which was an option, if you wanted the free games monthly, and they would release anywhere between 3 and 6 games a month that were like, you know, backwards compatible, like PS1 games or even some PS3 games. That's if you wanted to buy them. You buy PlayStation Plus for a year, which was like $50 at the time. You say, okay, I can get all these games, but do I need them? No. I mean, if I want to get these games, maybe they'll have a sale at GameStop, or maybe they'll have an online sale, and I'll buy them and I'll own the license. And that was one thing with that was, you know, same thing with Microsoft. If you pay for the subscription fee for Xbox Live or PlayStation Now, not PlayStation Now, PlayStation Plus, you get the games and they stay on your console. But if that subscription goes up, you lose the license for it, you know, and you got to click on the game and say, okay, well, you got to purchase the game, whatever, you know, that kind of thing. So it's like certain subscriptions they shouldn't really be necessary. They should be optional. But when it comes to something like you're saying, you know, with the name change, it's something as simple as a name change. Like, why should I be charged to change my name if I'm going on platforms like Steam and all? I could change my name this very second. I can log on right now and say, okay, I want to be known as Bentacore Rex. You know, I'll change my name to Bentacore Rex on Steam, and I won't have to pay a fee. But if I want to change my name to, you know, let's say Bentacore Rex on Xbox, because I think that's a really cool name, and I want to see that name pop up whenever I kill somebody on Xbox, I gotta pay $10. I'm like, well, shit, I don't have $10. I gotta wait. Or I'm like, why should I have to pay to change my name? I mean, the pricing of it, having to charge you for that is one thing, but I'm glad that Microsoft doesn't. I'm just glad that with Microsoft it's not glitched like is with Sony. Like none of my stuff is going to be affected. But Sony, I'm like, what are you doing? I've been a fan of you. I've been a fan of your games, your products for so fucking 20-some years. And this one thing is like the biggest fuck up of all. And you pissed off so many gamers, you pissed off so many people, and you know it's like you're telling me I can't change my name and play a game for 3 years ago without, you know, having to start the game all over, having to earn those trophies all over again. It's like, okay, so it's a matter of you can't have your cake and eat it too. It's like it's one or the other. It's like, do you want to change your name and look cool, but you got to start games over, or do you want to stay with the same old name? Do you want to change your name to Golden Turd, or do you want to keep your name at Stinking Brown Piece of Shit? It's like, okay, do I want to change my name and look a little bit more cool and hip, but I gotta start all my gameplay data all over? I gotta redo the whole licensing thing for the account, or do I want to stay with my same old name and just like keep everything?
Yeah, it's a really, really problematic system right now. Like I said, I hate that this took Sony a decade just to put this up and to say, yeah, we're now implementing this change. We're now putting the option for you to change your name, but you still have to pay for a name change, and you'll have the possibility of losing your save data. And then it's like, Sony, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, why is it so difficult for you to not take a book out of Sony, out of Microsoft, or even Valve? Like, ask them how they did it instead of just being in the anti-consumer kind of market and say, you know what, these guys are our competition. When in actuality, Microsoft is now has partnered with Nintendo with them, and it's like that's one of the biggest moves, because Microsoft saw the possibility of what the Nintendo Switch can do and what it has been done. And with the recent problems with what Sony is doing with them not allowing crossplay with anything, especially recently with Destiny 2, like they're not allowing you to switch your characters from your PS4 account to your Battle.net account or even to Xbox Live. And it's like, how fucking anti-consumer can you really be right now? And it's at that very same reason why I'm really getting into PC gaming more and more than staying on PlayStation or even Xbox, because I like the freedom that PC has given me, and I can feel more free and not restricted to what consoles are giving me or anything of the sorts. It's a nuisance that these companies are doing, restricting your freedom and all that. But Sony, especially with them being severely anti-consumer and not allowing you to cross-play with anybody on Xbox or even Nintendo or even PC. Well, they do allow PC, but it's only for games like Rocket League and Fortnite.
Yep.
But with everything else, it's like, no, you need to stay on the Sony service. It's like, why? What's the point? Don't you think you would get more players and even generate more revenue if you allow people with this crossplay feature? Like, you'll get a higher, not only the developers will get a higher revenue in terms of the crossplay platform. Like, say if I'm playing against people on Xbox and I'm playing on PC in Call of Duty, think of what how much money the developers are going to make compared to just sticking to that one platform. Like, it makes absolute no sense, and it makes people like me just question your ways, and makes me just want to stick to just going to a different platform like PC, because again, I like the freedom, I like the upgradability and everything else that PC has to offer, whereas with PlayStation you're restricted to doing these things. And same with my Xbox. Like, it's fucking stupid.
Yeah, because there's so many open possibilities out there and opportunities that Sony can take to open up the player base to, everybody, rather than just staying confined to what they have. I remember even reading a tweet from somebody saying, I'm sorry, if you want to play this game and do this and that, it's better to play it on Sony. You buy your products on Sony, Sony. I'm like, look, you're almost trying to sound like Nintendo in a way when it comes to certain marketing strategies that they did. But now, just like you said, they're opening up now more and more. Nintendo and Microsoft are starting to work, a little bit more and more together with certain things. Like they were talking about adding Game Pass or something from Microsoft to like Nintendo.
Switch, which is a smart idea when you can increase the player base of not only on Xbox but also on Nintendo Switch, because it gives you the more freedom to do, not just stick to Xbox, but you can go onto the Switch and you can play your Xbox games portably with the Nintendo Switch, which is a smart thinking process that Microsoft had when they partnered with Nintendo. Whereas Sony, they're stuck in the past in the PS2 era and even the PS1 era, where they think, oh, it's the best platform of all time. We're not going to share with anybody. Well, Sony, you need to understand, your competition is getting better and better and better. And if Microsoft is seeing that and partnering up with Nintendo, you're basically going to lose all of your player base, and you're basically going to sound more anti-consumer than any other than Nintendo combined. Like you can rag on Nintendo all you want, like that's fine. They make dumb decisions, but you can understand that what they're doing right now with them being partnered with Microsoft is a good thing, and it's gonna generate more money for both Nintendo and Microsoft.
Yep, and plus, like, the days of competition, I mean, yeah, there's still going to be some heavy competition going on, but I think this is the move that all these competitors need to make right now, is they can generate a lot of revenue, not just revenue, but they can open up the player base to everybody. They can blast it open where I can play. I mean, of course, I'm not going to be able to play Super Mario Brothers on Xbox. It ain't going to be like that.
That's going to be a big problem with that.
But yeah, but I could see like third-party titles, like you said, like Rocket League is on all three. Well, it's on 4 different platforms. You got it on PC, Nintendo now, Sony, and Microsoft. I could see me playing, like, maybe my brother wants to get Rocket League on Nintendo, and you got it on PC, and Bendicore Rex has it on PS4. I'm like, let's all get on I know it's only like, 3 players per team, but let's say we all want to play something together, and we're on 4 different platforms. We can cross-play with each other. We can communicate with each other on there, and that blows everything out of the water. You got gamers from all around the world, different platforms, interacting with each other, coming together. That's what we want, since we're in that era of online gaming, and yes, it's here to stay, but you figure, let's not be so diverse about it. Let's bring everybody together, and interact with each other, communicate with each other. Because let's say I got a friend over in Japan, who speaks English, and he wants to play with me, but he's got a completely different console. Hey, let's play Rocket League together. You got PlayStation, I got Xbox. Let's get together and play. That's what a lot of people are looking forward to doing right now, is being able to interact with other players on different platforms anywhere around the world. That's where Microsoft and Nintendo has opened up to those possibilities. There's just one we're waiting on, is Sony. I'm like, where are you at, Sony? Like, people are saying PlayStation 4 is the better console. It's better than Xbox. I'm like, okay, where's the sales at? Okay, PlayStation sales are up higher than Xbox. Okay, but Sony's marketing strategies aren't there. Look at the stuff that they're doing. Like, okay, they're saying no to backwards compatibility. Look at the shit they're doing with the name change. Like, it's affecting your older games. You're having so many issues with name changes. It's insane.
It is. Like, it's one of the more very, very annoying things that I could easily it makes me just turn off from PlayStation altogether, and it makes me just go play games more and more on PC, because the name changes don't, like, it's a very minor thing with name changes, but for Sony to say that this is going to affect everything on your console and delete your saves and whatever, that's just a big huge turnoff, and it makes me just want to quit playing on PS4 because of that whole thing.
Yep.
Just fucking ridiculous.
Yep. I mean, that's all in all. Hopefully Sony gets everything together. Hopefully they make some changes here soon and get back into the game. Because right now, I mean, you're falling behind, Sony. I love y'all. I've been a fan since PS1. I just get it right. So far, your saving grace in a way is the PS5 when you're competing in the next console generation. But right now, currently.
But if you continue your anti-consumer ways, you're not going to win with the player base. Your diehard PSN boys will stay, but for the rest of the gaming community who just sees your anti-consumer bullshit, they're just gonna up and leave and never come back to PlayStation.
Yep. True words have been spoken today.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, guys, we ran over the 2-hour mark, which is good. Today was a very good show. I'd like to thank my special guest, KOOPA, for coming in.
Thank you.
You are always welcome here on the program, whichever program we host here on Discord. And anybody else, if you have Discord, if you want to be on any future episodes of Tune In Live or even our new podcast, Through the Doorway, we have an episode coming up this Saturday. Also, tomorrow we will be streaming live from Facebook. And of course, if KOOPA, you followed us just in time on Facebook, you get to check out that stream tomorrow too. So we're gonna be, I'm gonna be live. We're gonna be live from Cypher Xavier's home, where he has this chair, which is, I don't want to say it's a cursed object, but there's something that's attached to it, and it's definitely brought a big change to him and his household. So we're gonna go live from his house. We're gonna inspect this chair. We're gonna do some things with it. We're gonna see at all what's going on with it. Maybe we'll catch some things. I'm also gonna capture some actual footage with a camcorder and get that stuff uploaded to YouTube, so you guys over there on YouTube can check it out. Do you want to say any closing remarks before I close this out, KOOPA?
I have nothing left to say except this was a good time.
Yeah, this was definitely a good show. I did see your bitchin' setup over there. You plan on doing any kind of streaming anytime soon?
I don't know really. Like, I haven't really thought about any of that just yet, but who knows?
Okay, so to all those, you follow us on Twitter at AirOfficial17. I'll tag KOOPA in a post. You guys can go follow him, check his stuff out and all. And big thank you to those who joined us today in the chat. Cypher, of course, Empire, KOOPA, who was in the chat, who also joined in, Prophet, and my main Bandicor Rex. Ray, good to see you in here today, man. I haven't seen you in quite a while. Got to get together with you and chat sometime. And to anybody else who has just joined in, you can catch this podcast re-upload it on our YouTube channel, Arrow Entertainment. Be sure to hop on over there and subscribe today for podcasts, gameplays, compilations, and game streams as well. Or if you are watching us on YouTube, be sure to come over and follow us on our main streaming channel, twitch.tv/arrowwithaname. Once again, thank you to my guest KOOPA for coming in today. It was a blast talking with you, man. All this stuff, it made for a really good podcast.
Yeah, that was a lot. This was a lot of fun.
Definitely. And we're gonna have many more in the future. We're gonna talk about music, movies, and all kind of stuff. So we got many different topics to talk about. And to the rest of you guys, have a good evening. And I'll catch you back here. Well, I'll catch you all tomorrow on Facebook. Like I said, look for us on Facebook.com/NowArrowEncoded. We had to change the name up a bit today for the Facebook page. So check us out on there tomorrow, guys. Y'all have a good night. Peace out.